Michigan's Morning Show with Michael Patrick Shields.
Michael Patrick Shields is on the air.
Good morning, world.
Good morning, Michigan. A very pleasant hump day Wednesday to you, Michael Patrick Shields. We welcome Jeb Bush, the former Florida governor, brother of George W. Bush, son of George Herbert Walker Bush, and an education expert to the state of Michigan today. He's right down the street at the hotel, and he'll be meeting with Governor Snyder and Michael Flanagan, the state superintendent, a little bit later this morning, and we'll get a full report and a full accounting of what they talk about coming up shortly. First, though, never mind yesterday that Justin Verlander flirted with his second no-hitter of the year. The Tigers win 4-0 over the Indians at Comerica Park. That gives our Tigers a one-game lead over Cleveland in the American League Central. Radio broadcaster Rich Kincaid was there to see it all, but nobody was talking about Verlander, Rich. I mean, everybody, were they not, were talking about the opening pitch thrown out by Blue Cross chairman and CEO and president Dan Lepp, wasn't it?
Hey, it was, just an electric moment, Michael Patrick. I think absolutely the ballpark just sat there in stunned silence. In fact, I myself gave thought to just leaving at that point, because how can you possibly follow an act like that?
Well, set
it
the
was,
scene
it was just
for
a magic moment.
I mean, you're a play-by-play. You've done play-by-play. You've been at WJR. You've been all these radio stations. You've seen just about every sporting activity there is. Can you sort of describe what you saw when Dan Lepp came out on the field?
The crowd, began to roar as you would expect the crowd would, and I really thought, the first pitch, it sets the tone for the entire evening, and my guess is Justin Verlander was watching from the dugout. He took one look at that and said, "Man, he had set the bar high." And so Justin went out there, and actually, I will give him credit. He did nearly as well as did Mr. Loeb.
Do you think that Justin Verlander was feeling the heat a little bit when he saw, that rookie out there showing off like that? You think he thought, boy, I better pump it up a notch?
Justin makes his contract is worth $82 million. He's got a 5-year deal. We talked about it, actually. It turns out every time he strikes somebody out, he makes approximately what Amanda Wall makes in a year. So we actually ran it through some sort of a counter while we were on vacation, and that's how that broke down.
Okay.
So he had to be thinking, if I'm worth $82 million, what's this guy worth?
Is there any truth to the rumor that they had to drag Dan Lepp off the field after he threw that heater right down the middle because he wanted to start the first inning?
No, it wasn't really a question of wanting to drag him off. It was the circling the field a la Cal Ripken as we broke Lou Gehrig's record, slapping the hands and what have you. So, there was some concern would delay the start of the game. So, he was escorted away.
There's a very good accounting of what went on yesterday when the president and CEO of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, Dan Lepp, who's on the other end of our line right now, got to throw out the first pitch at Comerica Park. Congratulations, Dan.
Thank you, Michael Patrick. And the nicest thing about it, first of all, is that I hit the pitcher, which is actually a pitcher, because I was so close to it. But then I really have to listen to all those emails from you and my board chair and everybody that's been dogging me for the last 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, I would be a nervous wreck. Did you get it? Did they let you warm up or anything, or do you just have to go out there cold?
No, you go out there cold, but, I was, as a good preparatory person that I am, I threw 100 pitches in the morning.
Yeah.
Ready, and of course, you take advice from all kinds of folks, and one of my associates, who was actually a really good college player and played a lot of softball, said, throw it at the catcher's head because it'll keep it off the ground.
What pitch did you throw? Sinker, slider, curveball, knuckleball? Were you catfish hunter? Were you Mark the Bird Fidrich? What were you trying to do?
Got to the catcher.
And
got to the catcher two-seamer.
If you took 3,000 employees on a march, as Andy Hetzel told us yesterday, from the Blue Cross new headquarters there, or the new building at the Renaissance Center, and of course you've got the headquarters in near Greektown, and you all walked to the game, did you walk to the Coney Island afterward, the Lafayette Coney Island, with 3,000 Blue Cross employees for a couple of loose?
No, that was metaphorically, but then of course that would be 6,000 loose.
6,000 would be tall
But I'll
order.
tell you, Michael Patrick, the Illich family did a phenomenal job for our employees. This was an somebody embedded in the grounds crew, somebody announcing the starting lineup. We had a group of 5 employees that sang "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" in the 7th inning in a stretch. It was, Chris Elledge, who I serve on a lot of corporate philanthropic boards with in Detroit. I had called he and Peter Carmanos and 4 or 5 of the other big players, investors in Detroit before we made the public announcement to tell them what we were doing. And Chris called me 2 weeks later and said, I think this is so great. He said, I want to go and do a welcome to Detroit celebration, and we're going to bring our employees to the game. And lo and behold, you imagine thinking the night we had weather-wise, Justin Verlander, into the East innings throwing a no-hitter. It was just a terrific night.
That is fantastic, and in fact, a fantastic exchange between 2 of the great civic leaders in Detroit, Dan Lepp, the president and CEO of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, and Mike Ilitch, who, when he found out the kind of commitment that Blue Cross was making to downtown, moving 3,000 employees from Southfield into the Renaissance Center, just picked up the phone and said, hey, I want to say thanks, and I want to do it in fine fashion, and invited all those employees to the game yesterday, got everybody involved. I mean, that's almost the old-fashioned stuff that you don't think about happening in the modern age, and it's very heartwarming. And it's not an easy decision to tell 3,000 employees, hey, we're moving you 30 miles away to downtown Detroit. It was the kind of call that comes from a transformational leader. And the reward yesterday was not only for Dan Lepp to throw out the first pitch at the Tiger game, but as you heard, for all the employees to be involved. And not only that, as he said, it was a great weather day and a great victory for the Tigers, who are now in first place in the American League Central. And it's a terrific day in the state of Michigan. Thanks to both of you there. We sure appreciate it. It's Michael Patrick Shields, Michigan's Morning Show. Later this week, we're going to be talking to the man who wrote the brand new James Bond 007 book. The Ian Fleming family commissioned him to keep the 007 legacy alive, and the new book is called Carte Blanche. And we'll talk with the author about how you write a Bond book in the Ian Fleming tradition. Carte Blanche. And I'm told that the villain is a green-friendly sort of guy who goes a little too far. That's coming up later this week. Bob Lutz, too, who fashions himself 007, will be with us. It's Shields, Michael Patrick Shields, all across Michigan.